Hey, folks. Before we get to tonight's conversation with the 2023 Tournament Men's Masters Bowlers Association of Canada champions from Southern Ontario, I just wanted to talk about what a special group this was and how meaningful it was to be able to have this conversation with them. In my work as a software consultant, there are a number of books that have been really influential in my practice in trying to help groups of people come together as a team. And two of those are Pat Lencioni's The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and one of them is Joan Ryan's Intangibles, which is a book about really how can you tell that a group of people are becoming a team. And even though this group didn't use these two books as a handbook to how to come together, they embody the the elements of a group becoming a team that are outlined in these two books. And so if you're interested in trying to help your group, whether it's in sports or in business, try to become a team, this is the group you want to emulate. And those two books, whether they know it or not, are indispensable guides. You can see elements of trusting in each other, in resolving conflict, in holding each other accountable, in committing to the results. And in not only did this group have a common goal of winning a championship, which is what every group of people wants to do and what any team wants to do in any sporting competition, but it really comes through how much they cared about each other on and off the lanes, before the event, during the event, and as you'll hear, even in the decade or longer leading up to this incredible Masters Championship. So if you really want to understand what it takes, what it means, what it looks like when a group of people come together as a team, this is a group you want to pay attention to. Enjoy the conversation.
Welcome to the second episode of Pin Pals. But instead of one champ with us, who's actually on the team, Lyle, we've got 6 gold medalists with us and a pretty cool coach, the Masters 2023 men's team champs. And as you know from our last episode, we like to dig deep into the questions. So deep, pressure's going to be on, but let's just all be ourselves. There's no rules. It's like Sirius XM radio. It's satellite. We can swear and stuff. And that's the way she goes. So over to you, JB. Let's go.
All right. So first, thanks very much to everyone for taking time out to spend some time with us. I know Bobby's got an early morning, so we'll try to keep it light for him. And Mitch will join us in about 10 minutes or so when he's finally well off the course. So congratulations, champions. And even before we start, I just want to say that I am particularly really enjoying getting the chance to chat with Brenda. I was, you're going to laugh, but it's true. I was a little too shy to introduce myself when we saw each other in Midland. I don't think we'd had a chance to chat before. So I'm glad that I get a chance to have a conversation with you here where it doesn't feel like I have to, be all adult and introduce myself. So, it's always nice to meet someone that I've had, who I respect in the game, who I had a chance to watch bowling on TV. And so that's cool for me. So welcome everyone. And so let's start with a softball. Like what does this championship mean for you? Anyone just jump in. Like is there something specific about this particular event, this particular win, these, winning with these particular people that made this special for you? Or nobody cares. This was totally ordinary. This is yawn, whatever. Yeah, we won the gold medal. It's Ontario. We're supposed to, whatever.
I got Bob. Open. There he goes.
There we go. Yeah, I wasn't sure who wanted to step in. I think it just reaffirms or whatever the word may be that, together as a group, we've done this at least probably twice with each other on different levels, myself especially. And it means a lot in terms of the fact that, we've done this numerous times together and we still can keep doing it at a very high level. It was awesome because there was some really bad stretches Sometimes when you knew you're really grinding like the lows of lows, and as a team you're still playing at a high level, and you knew that as a team you're in it till the end. So it's one of those ones where you weren't like one of the best ones of the tournament, but deep down you knew as a team you were never going to fall off. There was always guys picking you up. There was always a chance to win the game. It just, I know, reconfirms that together as a group we still have it, and we're like real solid. I think in the end of it all, that's what this one really means. And I think the fact that four of these guys were together when we won in Winnipeg, and we replaced one guy with Robert, who was a machine out there, and we were still all under 40 back then. We were all under 20 or under 30. So I feel like it's really cool to do this again with these guys, but we're not that old, and maybe there's a really good chance that we can continue to do this a few more times. Who knows? But to me, I guess that's what it was like.
Thanks, Bobby. Who else wants to step in?
I was just gonna say there's something special about winning one gold medal with a group of guys, but getting the opportunity to win a second one with the same group, or for some of us third. It was just special to be able to, as Bobby said, continue doing that and show the rest of the country really what we're capable of.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I will actually add on mine. For me, on another level, it was really cool. The fact that it was Newfoundland. The last time I was there is when I won the singles title in Newfoundland, and on top of that, my parents are from there. So to be there twice and play there twice and win gold medals and have the group that we had there to do it with, for me on a personal level, it means a lot. I'm sure to my parents, that was really cool to them too.
Bobby, where are your parents from in Newfoundland?
Fogo Island, bye.
Right on. I have, I guess, so that means we can actually say Newfie jokes and not offend anyone. We actually have Newfie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm half Newfie myself. I can't wait to come and watch, at least if I don't make it. I'm super excited to come and see, just watching the pictures of everybody and Newfoundland. And how many people were screeched in? Like 100 plus? 200? Like,
they used to do it on Newfoundland or the provincial night. They used to screech everybody in that was a rookie. And this year they didn't do it, I think, because they thought it was overplayed and too boring or something like that. But we had
tradition.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Thoughts on being screeched in? I'm just saying. I think that's.
I loved it. And the guy that they had doing it was fantastic. Such a hoot. Great jokes, great accent, hardcore, like Newfie of all Newfies. And I'm sure that the rookies absolutely appreciate it. It was one of my favorite provincial nights.
When it comes to and the culture, I haven't experienced it, and I'm saying this for other people that haven't as well, that may be listening. Does that flow over into the bowling? Is it just an amazing, incredible time like you would expect going to Newfoundland, even if you weren't bowling?
It was an absolutely amazing time. And for us to have our significant others there with us was absolutely fantastic, to be able to experience this win with them. I'm sad we weren't able to do the big screeching on the Newfoundland night, but I wouldn't change anything. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's still a good time. You can get that piece of paper anytime, and hey, just do it over Zoom. Everything's remote nowadays anyway. I'm sure you get remotely screeched in.
Yeah. To touch on your part, like the atmosphere or culture or whatever, George Street was literally a 5-minute walk, if that. So it was like, all right, I don't know how many times we made that walk, but you definitely got the vibe of George Street and the Newfies around. So yeah, it's different than almost anywhere else you go in Canada, that's for sure.
want to give a quick shout out to my family out there in Springdale. Aunt Juanita, Uncle Ray. I'm Danny Ray Vogler, my middle name, named off a Newfoundlander. And my fiance family from Grand Falls. I think if I came to a tournament in Newfoundland, we'd probably bring about 50 people with us. That's just common. So I can't wait. Anyway, let's get back to the bowling. JB, we got some cool questions on there. Let's hit them up.
Yeah, so one of the things that came up with that first question was sort of that this group has done it before and we're a bit younger. And so this idea of wanting to show the country that we still have it. So for the rest of the group, did you have that feeling as well? Were you thinking of, oh, it was nice to do it with this group again? Or were you thinking, hey, even as we're getting a little older, this is, we can still hang. This is not a big deal. We want to show people that this game isn't just for late 20s, early 30 somethings. Was there any of that for any of you else?
Well, when arguably the best player in Canada comes out and says, you guys are the second best team, we have something to prove at that point in time, right? That's Mitch. Mitch likes to fire people up. That's what he does. And, we went out, we got the W. Now we get to celebrate again.
So did you walk in there with a little bit of a feeling of a chip on your shoulder, or did you walk in there feeling a little bit more like fired up, like let's go?
I'd say more like fired up, let's go. Personally, myself, I've been struggling the last few years because I'm, working on it, trying to lose some weight, get in better shape, and I'm starting to see the results on the lanes. So I was very happy with all that. I can't say the same for the other guys. Like, me and Robert, we don't even play league. And for us to be able to go out there and compete the way we did, I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, so it's one thing to think about, oh, we're not as young as we used to be, whatever, and all of you are still plenty young. But if, were there others of you who felt a little bit like, had a bit of a struggle recently, or not sure that I'm at quite the same level as I was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago? Anybody else who walked in there with maybe a little bit of that feeling like they had something to prove for themselves?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I didn't think I was at the top of my game. It's different when you're bowling on a team too. You could, it's not just you're letting down, right? And I've known how I felt I know last year, I've been bowled league for probably 2 years now. I don't go out and practice as much as I probably should. And it's just, you're not letting yourself down now, right? You're letting down a team if you do struggle. Because I've been struggling the last couple of years and trying to find the shot that works. I just don't have that in-game mentality to figure it out. Thankfully I found it there, but it's tough when you're letting 4 other guys down too, right? That's what it was for me, more or less.
Was there a moment then where you started to feel like that thought kind of went away?
Yeah, definitely the first game I felt it for sure. I just didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know how I was going to feel. For me right now, it's just timing. I know everything's there. Timing's the big issue for me right now, right? Like just getting the feet right, kind of setting up on the lane. If I get on a run, I get on a triple or something, I just rush the next one. So, but once I had the guys behind me and I knew they were there, it was all for them, right?
Well, and that's a big question. So, I certainly understand that feeling. I know the feeling of feeling like wondering if you're going to be the weak person on the team, or feeling like you're, as you said, letting everyone down. I'm curious how much is this news to the rest of the group? Did you folks kind of have the feeling like, we really need to show Robert that we've got his back? Or was it, were you kind of surprised to hear him say that kind of stuff about how he was feeling about his own game?
Surprised somewhat, but not really. I can understand if you don't play league at all and you barely practice, like 100%, right? Like I'd be worried about what's going to happen out there too. But at the same time, I think he knew deep down we had his back. And for me personally, that was my 6th Masters gold medal. So Not gonna lie, like when you get a select group of guys that you go with, and there's been numerous of them that I've had, there's a very nice comfort level, and it's almost like, okay, it's almost like a routine. It's like, okay, we've done this before, blah blah blah, but at the same time, there's no disrespect to anybody. There's no looking past anybody out there. I said this might have been the deepest field I've ever played against in Masters Nationals. Every team was really good, but you know what you've been through before, and you know there's going to be ups and downs with one or two players at a time. But if everybody sticks to the plan and plays like we have together, I think we knew, or I knew deep down that we have a chance, and there's always going to be two or three guys kind of going. So regardless of if one guy's struggling, it was not going to phase me. If I was struggling, I wasn't. It's disappointing, but I'm not counting us out at all or thinking I'm letting them down. I knew we've done it enough times together, especially that there's in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, we're still good.
Yeah, Robert, I know there's that feeling of either, oh my God, I don't want to let these guys down because I know they're walking in there thinking they're going to win, or the positive spin of that, which is, look, even if I don't feel like I'm at the top of my game, we've got 4, 5, 6 other people who are going to be able to take care of things and give me a chance to figure it out. You said there was a moment in the first game where you started to settle in, started to feel like maybe this is going to be okay. Did you consciously have that feeling of, I don't have to worry because the rest of the team's going to, keep things going for me? Or were you feeling like that, oh, I don't want to mess this up for them?
I mean, I think before every tournament, everyone has like the pre-game jitters, right? That first shot always sucks.
Yep.
So
I mean, the Manitoba women's team.
Yeah. I think it was just knowing that you have the guys behind, and I know all those guys, man. They're all the best guys that I know, right? I bowled with them all, right? I have good relationships with them off the lanes too, and I think it was hard. It wasn't just letting them down. It's just, I think, letting yourself down too, right? You don't want to you know what you're capable of. You just don't want to let yourself down either.
I got a question for you, Brenda.
Yeah.
You're listening on here and you're thinking, Cowboys, how do you do it? How do you take a team of champions, knowing what they've got going, but also understanding that you're pivotal to keeping the mindset and these boys rocking? How do you do it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I send them a questionnaire. I have a little conversation one-on-one beforehand and that's, I probably knew a little bit about what, Robert was saying. So part of that, I think in my role is to help facilitate, to build them up, those good shots he makes. Yeah, you're doing the right thing in that. Because that's where he was honest with me. I haven't played as much. I'm maybe not as sharp and stuff, but you need to take that and work with it on the team. So with all the guys, trying to find out a little bit of where they were with their head with respect to coming into the tournament, what were their expectations of the tournament, what were their expectations of me, what could I do to help facilitate. But I think really starting that conversation early so that you understood what was happening.
Yeah, so I presume that none of this was much of a surprise to you.
No, because we'd had that conversation. I know Doug has also mentioned that, that he doesn't bowl. I know that they had been out practicing and stuff like that. As I say, Robert was honest with me. He felt a little bit unsure of himself, but again, when he came out that first day, awesome. And part of that is building that up. The fact that they're doing well. He's comfortable, and the other guys are doing that as well. And he got in that zone and was awesome.
Are there any particular tricks or ideas that you were able to share, maybe that either just comes from your coaching philosophy or even comes from how you manage those emotions for yourself as a player, that came to mind to sort of offer him as advice or solace?
I'm not sure if there's anything part of it, I guess, was that the whole team, trying to come together as a team, because it's not just him. So although he's feeling that he's having some reservations about his performance, is trying to bring that team together and realizing that it's a team. It's not just him. He's not just going to be the one that, makes it or breaks it, but it's a team atmosphere. So really trying to bring that team together, I guess, is more would be my philosophy, is because it is. And that way, those things that are doubts hopefully get settled because you have that team coming together, which I think Bobby had mentioned as well. Everybody kind of, pitched in, and that's what made the team so great. We, all members shone at a certain time. The doubts that were there were no longer there, or didn't seem to be there, because we as a team picked that up.
Speaking about the team coming together, I think Mitch just joined. He's been enjoying the sports this summer and had a little golf day today. Good on you, sir. Taking a break from the bowling. But we'll just keep going. JB, line up those.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Yeah. please, Will.
Most of us, if not all of us, have bowled open, provincials, nationals. Do you find there's a difference having that horse option in master or in open compared to masters, where there is no horse, where it's 5 guys on the lane, you sink or swim kind of feeling? Like, when you guys are at that level, is there mentally a difference between, yeah, I'm bowling bad, I could have, I could possibly get pulled and refresh, or I'm in it the whole game, I have to change something now?
I think we'll let Mitch talk on this one, because we actually talked about it in the hotel, and he actually said it the best I've ever heard it. So Mitch, we'll let you have this one.
Stop, bro.
And maybe we need to vamp while Mitch figures out his.
Well,
audio.
yeah, if Mitch is still working on that, I'll say one thing. Masters Nationals and Open Nationals, or Open Provincials, having that guy on the bench, and if it's a deep team, to have it but not have it, or kind of be grinding, it's a scary feeling, because you're always going to be looking back, and then you never know if you get out when you're going to get back in. So that's the scary part about that. And then, yeah, maybe it's nice to get that break, but when you're just bowling with 5 guys, you're not worried about getting pulled. But when you are through the grind, you're worrying about, when am I going to figure it out? But at least you have the time. I know I prefer to be left in there and work it out as a team. Not having to worry about being pulled is a good thing, because you're more focused on what kind of adjustment do I have to make, as opposed to, oh shit, am I going to get pulled after one miss, or like, if I pick this shot, am I going to get pulled? I think it adds more nerves to every shot until you get pulled. But Masters, it's harder the deeper you get into the grind. You might not get into that deep of a grind when you're playing the Open, because you're probably going to be out of there. So there's some time frames that are different with regards to my thought process and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of want to go around the horn and find out. We'll see if Mitch, can you say hello?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry,
Welcome.
I'm gonna bring my my camera on here in a second.
worries.
I just showed up to the house. Sorry, so I was just trying to get everything figured out. Okay, that was a great question, obviously, but we did talk about it in the hotel room, and I said that in the last 11 years that the Southern Ontario men's team has won 6 times, 2 3-peats, and in the entirety of the whole Open, the Southern Ontario men's team, I think, has only won, I want to say it's 5 times, but I think it's 4. And I asked DJ a really good question. Like, I was just talking to him one-on-one, but everybody heard the question, and we all came to a huge consensus that says the pull is like the major factor. I mean, there is other factors across the country as well, like how we have 13 zones and all that stuff, so it's like really drawn and spread out. But the pull, it just happens to be that one thing where great bowlers, when they're playing in shifts, they have to figure it out. So it's always coming down to 8, 9, 10, like 95% of the time of all your games. Whereas, in the Open, you might not get that chance. So there's huge factors in that disparity, right? So when you have 8, 9, 10 every single game for 21 games, you're eventually going to be able to figure these things out.
Yes, I'm kind of curious. I want to go around the horn. I know for me, I never want to come out, and I always prefer to be given a chance to figure it out. And I'm the type who, if I throw a bad second ball in the fourth, I'm looking over my shoulder, and I hate that feeling. I've had the chance to bowl Ironman against my will once at the Open, and yeah, it was tiring, but at least that was one thing that was completely out of my mind. I didn't have to think about whether I was coming out or not. Just go bowl and figure it out, and everyone gets a chance to stay in. So maybe we can just go around the horn and find out, for you, do you prefer to have, does the possibility of getting a break act as a comfort to you? Or are you the type that sort of looks over your shoulder and wonders when you're going to come out? Because that's something that, at least in this format, you don't have to worry about.
I'd rather stay in and play.
Yeah.
Like, stay in, play, figure it out. Because if I'm sitting there, you're just gonna think, and thinking sometimes can be the worst thing in this game.
So you're a ruminator. If you come out, you're going to sit there and fume about what's going on, and instead of
I wouldn't say fume, but I'm definitely gonna think and still try to be the best teammate I can be. But I want to be playing at all times.
DJ, what's that like for you?
I was gonna say younger me really appreciated being able to get pulled and come out of a game when you need it. But now I've sort of started to appreciate the opportunity to struggle and what that looks like and how you can adjust and figure things out. And as I am getting older, things are starting to get stiffer quicker. So I even know this year at Open Provincials, sitting the bench wasn't the most ideal thing, but this year at Masters Nationals, I did struggle quite a bit, and I would say more than half of my games were a grind of just hitting over 200. So I really did start to appreciate, in practicing in those game moments of how can I adjust, what are some different things I can try, and using my teammates as resources to try different things.
Robert, how about you?
I definitely like staying in better. It forces you to make the in-game changes. It's a different aspect of the game. When you're struggling, you're not just pulled out and it's okay, whatever, da 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 da. I know there was a game or two. Brenda definitely would have pulled me, so that's nice to know that that option wasn't there. But yeah, no, I definitely prefer. You just got to grind it out and figure it out. It definitely makes the best team win, I think, for sure.
You definitely like to stay until the finish, don't you?
Oh,
well, yeah, and there might be some bowlers who, I'm one of them who, I'm sure my average from frame 4 to the end is much higher than my average in the first 3 frames. It's just a dumb thing that I hate about my game, but it's the way it is. It's very easy to look up and be struggling through 3 and then somehow pull out 240, 250 at least. And that's, so having the pull can be tough on those players. Brenda, how about you? Were there moments where you were thinking, oh man, I wish I could sit one of these guys?
No, because I mean, this is a totally different thing than the Open. But it's nice. I've been there before, and knowing that sometimes you struggle, you really have to work through it. So, and I could see that they were doing that. There was times where either picking or picking was probably more the problem than anything, and the one house that was really sticky, they had to adjust to it. So if you had, I guess if you had the pull, I mean, that to me, that wasn't even part of the equation or anything, because I really see them as different. I think in the Open, when you have that pull, it's another layer that as you say, the person's looking over their shoulder. So not only are they struggling, but then they're trying to make sure that they can stay in the game and not, not be pulled and stuff. Whereas the Masters, I like it much better because you have to stay in there and you have to grind and work it out.
Bobby?
No pulls, no. Grinding sucks, but there's times when you really appreciate it. I think DJ alluded to that. You learn new things, even the deeper in your career you go. You can look back and remember this adjustment or that one, or maybe you're just gonna have to learn a new thing. Like that tacky lane condition was something I don't know if we've experienced before, but we've had to completely come up with a new way and a new approach that day. But yeah, really the only reason I want to ever come out is if like it's like physical,
Yeah.
like an injury or you're completely gassed. And I don't think we're there yet. I definitely am not. And I'm, as bad as it can go at times, I want to grind. And you're probably like this close to catching a heater. Like you're shot.
Mhm.
Like all it takes is one different feeling, and all of a sudden you're like, boom, let's go. See you later. I'm just gonna go nuts now, right? So like I find the grinds happen for a reason because, in the end it's gonna balance out. You just gotta grind it till the end and keep working on things, and then soon enough, that hot streak's gonna come.
DJ, I think it was, said something that really stuck with me, the using the teammates as a resource. And I kind of want to go there. I want to hear some more about what this group was like as a team. So let me just throw it out in the middle. Can you think of a moment where you really, where you were looking to one of your teammates or looking to Brenda and saying, oh shit, I need something. I don't know what it is. I got a vent. I'm confused, whatever it is. But that moment where you felt really like, okay, this isn't just a bunch of people I'm bowling with, but these are people that I can lean on to help me get through something.
I just want to say this before they
Yeah.
answer, is that I look at this team and I see 5 guys that have bowled multiple tournaments together, whether it's cash, provincial tournaments, so they can they talk outside the lanes, they talk, they hang out, they go for beers, we go to get ice cream, shit like that. Whereas you see other teams and they're from completely different areas of the province. They don't bowl leagues together. So that's what I look at this team and I'm like, that's a solid. They can rely on one another because they know how each other is, whether it's match play or leagues or, provincial tournaments. So
Nailed it.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
exactly.
I look at the people in this room right now today. We're all speaking live together. These are some of the best bowlers in Canada right now. And yeah, you don't have your jerseys on, but we know your bowlers. This is this is a moment. So again, to the questions, it's how do you feel when you're working as a team together and you're dialed in with coach level? And for me personally, I did want to say I had the first experience ever bowling in the open. I was a rookie. It was my second year bowling, and I didn't understand the concept of, oh, you can be pulled. And I don't want to go back to the pulling question. We'll get off of that in a second here, but it was new to me. And for me, the rush and excitement of being at the open, I had no doubt in my mind I did not want to be pulled. Not a thought came to my mind. Even if I was, oh, I'm new, I'm the rookie, I might get pulled, whatever. No, I wanted to bowl strikes every single shot, and I wanted to perform at my best, and hope that my body could go through with it. If anything, I lost my voice that weekend. That was the worst thing that happened to me because I was pulled so much. But hey, I'm a rookie. But yeah, it was a great experience, and to again have you folks in the room is a pretty cool experience as well, and to have these questions that a lot of people are itching about. It's great to have your perspective from it.
Yeah, so using your seeing your teammates as a resource. Can somebody share a moment, a story, something that happened where you really felt like, oh, this is a moment when I'm glad I had these people around me to be able to lean on in this moment?
The last day, I'd been struggling quite a bit. Had changed where I'd been starting on the approach almost game to game. And Mitch kind of came out to me and said, why don't you go back to where you were starting? Take a bit of a step back. Your shot's a little flat right now. But taking that step back, just see what kind of happens. And just really trusting what that person had to say and believing that they had your best interest in mind, and so gave it a shot and ended up being able to bounce back from a pretty rough start that day. And it felt nice knowing that you have 4 or 5 other people behind you who truly care about you being at your best and are willing to do and say what they need to get you there.
I think for me, actually, well, it started 11 years ago with this team for the most part. We had the same 4 guys except for Robert. It was Matt Houston, but then Robert obviously just fits right in because look at him.
Yeah.
And but like for me, it actually started like 2 weeks ago. You know, we had a get together. Me, Bobby, Monica, and Mel. We golfed in the morning, and then we went to Echo, threw a couple games. Jeffy was there, and it was like just a good vibe. All the girls came too, and we came back to my house. We had a barbecue. Everybody's just chilling, hanging out. It's like it's not forced. You know what I mean? Like we've known each other for so many years, and we're all around the same age group. So we play ball together too. So it's like a lot of times where like it's just you don't feel any different when you're going away as when you're here. You don't have to make things happen. It's just it just kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the situation where the group kind of feels like they're being shoved together, and as you say, it feels a bit forced. It feels a bit artificial. To be able to build those relationships away from the lane, to be able to take the time to build those relationships over a decade or more, I'm sure makes a huge difference in terms of being able to feel like you're really part of the team, being able to, as DJ said, not just to feel we're all trying to do the same thing, we have a common goal, but that we actually care about about helping each other be at their best. So is there anyone else who, remembers a moment where you felt that level of support, that it wasn't just we have a common goal, but we actually care about each other here?
I think from my perspective, I think the day at St. Pat's, that was really sticky. I mean, I definitely could hear them discussing things a couple of times because it was pretty tough, but they were working together to figure out the best way to adjust to those lanes. So from my perspective, that's what I overheard is there was lots of conversation and again, not just from one person, but from the team, because they're trying to do this as a team, to overcome that. And I really think that was one of the big reasons for the success was because they did adjust so well there.
Anybody else like to jump in? Because if not, I kind of want to go there because I heard a little bit from Mitchell about Mitchell Williams about the conditions. He was telling me about that in the background at St. Pat's, and that seems like the kind of thing that is kind of a make or break moment for any team, because it could be real easy for one person to start whining uncontrollably, and that blows the vibe. And clearly, that didn't happen to you folks.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. The conditions were fine. I was sliding, no problem. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
When you're used to S12 everything, I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, Mitch was out there taunting everybody with his slide. He would take a deliberate practice slide in front of everybody, and he's sliding so much that he's got his both arms out balancing himself. He's like, "Hey, look at me, I'm Jesus. I can walk on water." Like
I got my H7. I got my H7 heel just arrived today in preparation for anything like this happening to me.
Oh yeah, he was definitely feeling it. It was funny to watch, actually. Everybody's eyes looking at him like, what is this guy? Like, how is he doing this? Yeah, it was a crazy day out there. Probably some of the toughest conditions, tacky wise, we've ever seen. I remember the day before we hit one lane. There was a set in the third game or something, and only the one lane was really sticky, and then it messed me up every single time. And then we went to the next game, and all of a sudden, long story short, I'm like sticking, and it's in my head, and the whole team is like probably going through 100 different scenarios or thinking of like, here, I got sliders in my bag, I got heels here, do this, do that. I'm like, and I was not committed, but I knew as soon as it happened, we were expecting it to happen at St. Pat's. As soon as it did, I said, okay, screw it. I'm now committing, because I couldn't commit to one thing that first day. And it hurt me for like a good 20 frame stretch. I was maybe the worst I've ever been. And then I said, okay, screw it. I'm instantly committed. And I made the adjustment, and I felt it. And within the first shot, I said, this is it. Like, I'm not worried about this the rest of the day. And like, you could see a couple of the other guys go through it. And I felt it the day before. So I knew deep down, like, okay, you're going through what I went through, but trust me, it's going to be okay. Like, all you got to do is commit and trust it. And then every single guy that did came out positive, made the adjustment, and everybody's shot ended up working. DJ's shot, I've never seen him throw a shot like that before, but it looked very pretty. Robert was just a monster up there, but trying to be baby stepping and like the littlest step and toss, and he figured it out. For me, it was I committed and I just got closer to the line, baby step, same thing, but I had to plant and just said, okay, throw it out on the lane, try to have some roll on it, and it was working really good, and I knew I was going to be good all day. So to have struggle times and see the other guys go through with it, I was so confident that when they picked me up for 225 frames the day before, like this was my time. And while they're grinding through it, I can take a lot of pressure off them because I was so confident in the adjustment that I made that it's going to make it easy for them to like get over it. And sure enough, it did. Like that 4-13 game was pretty big for us because Alberta was making a comeback. But and it was pretty cool. I remember Dougie saying about it, and it was afterwards. But when I came back, and he was kind of going through the grind of the slide, and the confidence was like sky high for a second, and I just said, I got you. And then I remember him talking about the hotel, and he's like, that was probably a good relief for him. So that was a pretty cool moment. But yeah, conditions were insane, crazy, and the guys did a hell of a job adjusting as individually and as a team. And I think it really worked out for us because most teams out there could not do it.
Can
But
you
I think
remember
that
what you were thinking at that moment that led you to make that commitment?
What I was thinking was I cannot do what I did yesterday when guys are telling me to try on.
Oops, you went mute. Go ahead. You went mute, Bobby.
Oh, sorry, cat. That was the cat.
Yep, I was guessing.
The lack of commitment to a certain shot or trying different things for a couple games, I knew that was not an option again. And if I did that, the guys were probably gonna, want to actually pull me and go 4-man. But it's just literally committing, and then 1 or 2 shots, and it feels good, and it's like boom, there's a huge load off the back. Like you're not worried about it anymore. It's like, okay, this is the shot, and whether or not it works or not, I'm actually committed to doing it.
I think that comes with the experience that all of us have. Those we know that moment, we know when it feels good, and we're going to stick with it. Because I just think that with you come off of, like you said, a 20 frame deficit, you're not feeling good, and all of a sudden you feel either it's a slight where your hand, where your hand's positioned on the ball, you slide that little extra step, you see it go out in the lane 4 or 5 inches more. Well, us with experience, we know, oh, that's the ball right there, and I'm going to use that the rest of the game. Like it's just something that comes with experience, right? So
Let's be honest, a lot of positive vibes. That's what happened there. A lot of positive vibes.
All right,
That's
let's
what
move
brought us
forward. Let's move forward.
We were always moving in the right direction.
Now that positive vibes thing, I know you joke a little bit, but it's true. I mean, we all know the value of optimism, right? But I'm curious.
I wasn't joking.
Oh, I know you weren't. Sorry, I don't meant you were not serious. I more meant that we're treating it humorously right now, but it's absolutely true. Do you guys find it easier to stay optimistic knowing how tight knit this group is, or does that matter? You're that optimistic anyway.
I would say it's easier, yeah, knowing that we've been here, done that, and the guys are so good, and if they're feeling good, that's a lot of pressure off you, right? So it's just on you to go through the grind and know that you're going to get out of it, and your time's going to come, because as a team, everybody gets their moments, and if one guy bails on that or shows any sign of fuck this, I want to get out of here, or I'm a piece of shit, I don't deserve it, like nobody needs that. And I think we know well enough that you can let that show. But I don't know if you know how this positive right direction stuff, to put it in perspective, we've never seen Mitch look like this or talk like this amongst us. Never ever. And it was, at first we were all looking at each other like, is
Who
this
is this
guy
guy?
possessed? Yeah. It was like, is this a joke?
I'm gonna jump in for one quick sec. You change who you are when you're playing individually versus a team, and obviously we do. Different game, it's a different, in a sense, mindset. But are you a different person on the lanes? I'll throw that out there. Who wants to jump in?
Mitch, take this away.
Yeah, like obviously, well, okay, there's two different mindsets when you're, yeah, like when you're playing singles and when you're on a team. Like I can go on with this conversation for a bit here. One, yeah, like I've been in those positions where I do chew people out and I'm in the wrong. Like I am completely wrong for doing that years past. Like one time I told Ian McLean, literally 11 years ago, I told him, get off the fucking bus and go back and practice. I tried to push him off the bus and said, go back in there and practice. So that's one. But there's another time in singles and teams that happened this past weekend. We're playing at St. Pat's and it comes down to the 10th. I got a double. I know I need a couple here. I don't know what's going on here because Robert did foul. Robert got stuck and fell over the lane like a lot of other teams people did. So I didn't know what kind of was going on, but I kind of figured it out that we needed another strike or I needed to hit the side or something like that. And the first ball in 10, I throw it and I go down on my knees and I'm like fired up. Whereas if it was singles, I would have never done that ever. Like I would have just thrown the ball. I would have walked off. I would have looked at it. And sometimes, you know, you want to get fired up for that team. So that positive vibes are going through the team, but because you've got four others and a coach on your back, it's, you know, it's a lot of pressure. So you're just trying to keep those, the positive outlook and everything like that. But at the same time, you know, when you're bowling on the lanes as a single, you're more or less just calculating numbers. You're trying to stay serious. You're trying to tell yourself all those positive things as well, but it's in a different manner.
Definitely more pressure. I think because you're performing not just for yourself, but for your team.
Oh, I forgot to mention the next ball I picked. So because I got too fired up and that does happen. You got to keep those emotions in check.
100%. Emotions are everything.
Was there anybody else who noticed that maybe they behaved a little differently in this team atmosphere with this group in particular compared to what they would have done if they'd been bowling singles?
So I will contribute to this a little bit. And I've known Mitch. I think I was a Bantam and he was the senior when we went to nationals together. And never have I ever known that guy to be so positive. And we were down after we were losing to Alberta. It was looking like 8-0. And I think it was about the 8th frame. Mitch looked at us all and said, no matter what happens in this game, we had a great day today. And I think knowing that, like just knowing that Mitch, knowing those guys behind us weren't upset what's happening. We knew what we were capable of and that we could continue forward. I think just hearing that, we ended up grinding out 2 points. The guys that were close could grind out 2 points. And I think that was like a huge difference for us.
Let's not forget that before Mitch came out and said it's been a great day no matter what happens, maybe a frame and a half earlier, I don't know what happened. It could have been like a 5-hole on a double or something from Doug, and he's up on the lane, and Mitch is managing his own mindset. He's just off to the benches on the left, close, but right there, right, sitting down, and we're taking a beating. And then this happens on the lane, and then out of nowhere, the one time it wasn't positive vibes, nothing changes, moving forward. It was like bang, bang, bang on the seat after the 5-hole. And we all looked, and Dougie came off the lane with like a semi-smile, and we were like, oh boy, like this is not a good game. It was a hell of a day. We were awesome. But this happened, and we're like, okay, there we lost Mr. Positive for like a frame, but he retaliated, and he instantly, like, he hell of a job. I will say it was huge on his part, and the way to flip things around, to go from banging that and then we're thinking like, okay, we're gonna accept this 0 and move on to the next day. No, he jumped up and went to everybody and was like, no matter what happens. And we were like, okay, all right, let's do this, right? Like, let's steal 1 if we can. And we ended up stealing 2. So Mitch it was different, but I think what he did is probably research or something, but it clearly worked for us.
Hey, and then not a game before that, the women came back. Okay, they came back all hammered. All right, and of course, Kim, Doug's wife, that guy, Kim's wife goes, no 5 through the hole for you today. And we're almost down a woman. That's it. The positivity was going out the fucking window. All right. It was like, I yelled at her. I'm like, do not fucking say that.
To be fair, that was 2 different days.
No, it was the same day, I'm pretty sure.
No, 2 different days.
That was the same day.
It was the same day, Doug, because
Doug,
they came back from they came back
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the
Because
boat
St.
ride.
Pat's,
They got screeched
Monica
in. That
was there
the
at
issue.
St. Pat's the whole day. Yeah, holiday lanes, they were gone.
It was holiday.
Came in like a train wreck. Thought
We
they were going to
didn't.
stumble down the stairs. Woo! Screeched in, baby. Let's go, Ontario. 1450.
I went 5 through the hole at St. Pat's.
Yeah, you did it more than once.
Not holiday.
You did it more than once. I remember this multiple times. Okay.
1 was at Plaza. Other one.
You know
was
what?
at
This could
St.
be a good
Pat's.
segue. This could be a good segue here. Listen, a lot of people, you could look at the final tally of the scores of the total points, and a lot of people would think we ran away with this, and we didn't. We did not run away with this. It looks that way, but it's not true. But we actually gave away like so many points between the one I told you about where I picked in 11. Doug probably lost 3 points all on pinning. Who would have ever thought pinning would ever do anything? And then there was a couple other points. We could have easily had 10 more points and broken our own record.
Are you saying pinners are winners?
That's sometimes.
All right. Make sure this doesn't get edited out.
Don't worry. You think we edit? What are you worried about? He so far has shown that he is willing to edit very lightly.
Nice.
Which is perfect for me. So, like what we just heard here for the past few minutes is emblematic, I think, of what makes this group a team. And I kind of want to hear a little bit about, Brenda, is this what they were like?
Absolutely, they were. I mean, they worked as a team. There was that, as Mitch mentioned, there was some team bonding ahead of time. They're all very comfortable with each other. I know all of them, not very closely, but last year Doug and Bobby were on the team. And I've known other people for longer than that, but actually as a team, not really till this year, but we had that opportunity to do some team bonding. We did some team bonding on George Street. We did it, we went out for dinner and stuff. I think that's really big. And then the camaraderie we had during the day definitely made for a good team. They supported each other. Mitch's positive words throughout the tournament, definitely it happened. So, yeah, exactly as they've said. Yep.
Okay, so here's maybe a bit of a difficult question. I'm curious to see what happens because it's obviously it's easier to care about each other if you like each other. If you like each other as people, if you get along well, it's a lot easier to, I think it was DJ who said, to show that you genuinely care about helping other people get the best out of themselves at one of these events. And it's also easier to listen to each other when you find them credible. These guys know what they're talking about. I have good reason to listen to them. I don't have that moment where I think, they're full of shit and they're just, hearing positive vibes sounds a lot different from someone you respect and someone you don't, from someone whose opinion you trust and someone whose opinion you don't trust. And I'm curious whether there were any serious moments of conflict that you folks had to deal with, whether it was in the lead up or during the weekend, that sort of tested how much you trust each other and respect each other?
I want to go back to when the girls came in from getting screeched in, because they were loud, they were hammered, and they like YBC chants started, and I'm on the lane. I had to step off. I'm like these girls got to stop. And like my wife is one of them. Like, time to calm down. Like, this is a serious tournament here. So that was one of those times, like Mitch has not big filter. So it wouldn't be shocking if you just turn around like, shut up, go back to the bar, but it was one of those little moments. But I will say, I think we threw a 9-bagger, 11-bagger as soon as they walked in and they started chanting. It was a big pick me up for us.
You're welcome.
Give her a mic, buddy.
It's good to have more.
The wife's right here.
More coaches, right? You can never have too many coaches. Perfect.
There's one of the wives. There's one of the ones that got screeched in.
Well, okay. Conflict is like, okay, so me, Robert, Bobby, and Dougie, I've never had problems with any of them. But like, we could talk about conflict. Like, Brenda over there is the one that suspended me like 10 years ago because of my own actions, right? And I'm sure there's things that I said to her that were not great. And it's like, 10 years later, oh, what's going on here?
Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So 10 years later, and I'm saying to Brenda, and I'm trying to tell her like, hey, like, I'm not like that anymore. And I'm just trying to be like, make up for it basically. And then DJ as well. Sometimes me and DJ never saw eye to eye, for a couple times here and there. And, like, I just try to like give them my best respect to them and try to make it better on a team. And cause you're there for the team. And I know I've, started drama with the Open and stuff like that as well. And so sometimes people, they see me online or they don't know me as well. And I just try to talk to them. And so it's the same thing. It's like, I hope when we come together as a team here, hopefully, we can do good things together. I don't know, basically is the best way I could say that, I guess.
I'm going to stop at this picture right here. Bobby, over to you. What's going on here? What happened?
Oh my God. Okay, we're going outside and coming around. Oh no, we're going to fish exchange. And we come out the side door and we start walking and we walk by a wheelchair. And I don't know, Robert and I just looked at each other, I think, and we're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's roll with this. So we started rolling. We got beers going. And then we start shooter McGavining. So there's, shooter. We're just going down the street. And we roll up, passing the front doors just like that, and then look over to the left. And then there's Jeff Young and I think Brenda just walking out, like perfect timing to see me like this. And I'm like, that's probably not impressive. But yeah, we took the picture. We're like, let's make people think something happened here. So I put my head like that. Meanwhile, I got a beer in my hand. So probably shooter. Oh,
Thank
man.
God nobody got hurt.
Except for Kim.
Oh my God. See, that was bad omen.
That is bad omen.
Yeah,
She
sorry,
shouldn't have been
Kim.
riding another man.
I will say, to touch on what Mitch was saying, well, even before that, there was nothing. Like, I think we're all so comfortable with each other that we knew no one was going to kind of cause any stupid shit. It was all fun but serious at the same time, and we knew we were there to get a job done. But at the same time, even if Mitch and Brenda, you definitely wouldn't have known that there was any conflict back in the day. But Brenda is like the epitome of a perfect coach in my eyes, especially at this level, managing, elite bowlers. She controls it. She does minimal in a sense, but she does what's needed. She takes care of all the administrative. You never were guessing of what's going on or where are we going or anything like that. She managed the situation. She let us know if we ever got unfocused on the task at hand and made sure we got right back on track. She was up front at the, every single frame. She wanted to be up front and right there. So she was incredibly professional and perfect for the role. This is my third time with her out there, and it's never gone wrong. So I would, huge kudos to her and a job well done of managing the environment, the situation, and just being that piece to keep 5 good friends and great bowlers, focused and never, getting sidetracked. So thank you, Brenda, and great job on that.
Thank you.
I'm curious, Brenda, what, again, you hear all that, and I have no doubt of all that. That sounds exactly what I would expect anyone to say about you as a coach. I'm wondering, what about your sort of coaching philosophy did you bring to this group, or did you have to change anything about, was there something about working with this group that was different than, say, what it would have been if you had worked with a different group of bowlers?
I don't think it's anything different. Again, I mean, at this elite level, you're not really looking at helping them with their game per se. You're not calling their shots or telling them those kinds of details. If you see something, fine. But really, I feel my role in this situation is to bring together as a team. Is somehow, that team bonding, help to lead that, somehow bring them together. Definitely, as Bobby had meant, administratively, any kind of the details that needs to happen, so that way they don't have to worry about it. What lane am I on, what am I doing here, that kind of stuff. Definitely being aware of where we are in the standings and knowing that kind of information. But really, I would say at this level, it's more of bringing that team together. And then when I used to compete, I know one of the guys that used to do this for the men's teams was Brian Kay. And I guess that's maybe where I got the idea from, is really trying to bring together as a team. And that's why we had the get together ahead of time, or when the boys had already set it up, but I really feel that that's important. Even though everybody, let's get together away from the bowling and, just have a good time and bond as a team. And I think that's why they, clicked again so well this year. Is because of that.
And a side note to how important it was for her, her and Dave moved their plane flights and vacations and stuff around to make sure that they were able to be there for that barbecue, which was we didn't think was necessary, but to take it that serious and change plans just to make sure that you're part of that was, I think, huge in establishing we're here together, 6 of us, not just 5. There were 6 of us, so that didn't go unnoticed either.
Brenda, who's your favorite on the team?
No, there's no favorites.
Wow.
Everybody else, what you think was Brenda's favorite?
What a question.
Well, it's definitely not Mitch. She did suspend him years ago. Let's be honest.
That wasn't me. That was the other Brenda.
No, it's okay. It's just us. Who is Brenda's favorite?
We're all pin pals. You can be honest.
No, I no favorites. No favorites.
Then there was the conversations beforehand as well, when we were talking about lineups and everything like that. Brenda comes up to me when we're at the practice. She's like, "You're okay with being bottom?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care," right? But then at night, where we came together, where it's really good for this team too, is we can have conversations about that stuff. And Bobby said, "Oh yeah, you're the clear cut." And I've said, "I don't think so, man. I don't know where you're coming up with this stuff." And we can have good conversations about that stuff as a team to say well, you could go down there too, or you could play this role, no problem, man. And I think that's really important too, to not have the egos, because we are so accomplished actually as individual players as well. The amount of TSNs we have on this team, a Midland Championship, club tours, a bunch of things, you there's no one top ego there. So it was really good to be able to have those conversations as a team as well.
I find it's a lot easier to manage egos in a group and to let those egos actually have the benefit they're supposed to have, when you can at the same time be frank and direct with each other. And it's pretty clear to me that that's one strength that you have, is that you're not afraid to have the conversation with each other that needs to be had. You're not afraid to say the thing that otherwise somebody else might be a little worried about saying. And that comes through. That comes through in this conversation here, and I'm sure it comes through in just watching you bowl. That this isn't just I know what Mitch is going to do, so I can figure out how to be around him. It's, I feel comfortable saying what needs to be said around Mitch because I know he's going to feel comfortable saying that back to me, and we'll resolve it. And it'll be over and it'll be done.
Also, as a coach though, for Brenda, like
Yeah.
she did everything everyone as an individual asked of her too. Because I had different things to ask of her than say Dougie did, or Bobby, or DJ. Whatever. Everyone had a different ideology of what a coach should be, and she followed them all to the T. So I also say thank you very much, and I've said it so many times to her because she was a great coach. Because there's a lot of coaches that try to overstep their boundaries too. They try to do too much, and I think she did the perfect amount on all scales.
I agree. It's absolutely fantastic on all scales. And even the assistant as well. With Dave.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for the words, guys. It's very nice. It was an awesome time.
Robert.
I mean, Robert let me hit the pen a couple times, so that was good. DJ too, didn't end up well, but we came together as a team through the pen.
I was just that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to ask Brenda as well, because I had this nice conversation with Sandy Anderson recently, where I was asking her about her experience coaching, and it was a little bit of that. For those who are old enough to remember, Cito Gaston never got the recognition he deserved because everyone said, well, with that team, who could possibly lose? And all he had to do was keep his mouth shut and everything would be fine. And I could imagine, Brenda, you feeling a little bit like, ooh, I need to figure out how to sort of step back and let these guys just do what they're going to do. And as Mitch said, not try to do too much, not try to step in because I'm the coach and I'm supposed to manage things. Were you aware of that? Were you thinking of that? Was there anything that you did differently to try to make sure that you took a step back?
No, but I was honest with them. I said, if there's anything that I'm not doing or that I need to be doing, is you guys need to be upfront with me. So, and I said that right from the beginning, is because if that becomes part of the problem, I can't address it unless I know about it. And again, as I never heard anything, but as a team, they just clicked and things ran with it. So it wasn't an issue.
How do the other folks feel about that? Was there a moment where you wanted to step in, but you decided to hang back because you just figured, I don't want to mess things up? Or out of a genuine trust feeling like, these guys know how to take care of themselves, I don't need to step in here?
I don't think we had to. Go ahead,
No.
Robert. Sorry.
No. You go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was just gonna say I don't think we had to, and I think it's all part of, you look back at what championship teams have done, and a lot of them are like Mitch said. We talked about lineups, and there wasn't one guy that said, "Oh, I want to play here. I need to play here." Whatever. You want to put me 3-hole, you want to put me 5, you want to, everybody accepted that, and it was up to Brenda, and we know that's her job, is to choose the lineup on her. Nobody really gave a shit if nobody wanted it, or like we've all played with people before that they need to be that guy, right? And this team wasn't made up that way, and we respected everything that Brenda wanted to do with the lineup. So there was, I don't know, in my eyes, there was not one issue with that. I think the guys had the right mindsets and accepted everything, and Brenda was in full charge of that, and we respected and accepted whatever that happened there too. So I think just that all together, played a huge role in success, and just the respect that everybody had in their own roles, contributed to the end result. In my eyes, if you got selfish people out there when you're playing a team event, there's no individual awards here. Anybody wants to have an individual mindset, we're probably not where we are, right? So who knows?
And I want to, we're coming up on the hour. I know some folks got some plans that got to go to work, and Bobby, you nailed it. And I want to give Brenda the last words here. There's no I in team. Everybody's heard that. I wish there was another one everybody's heard that. It's just getting boring now, but you know how it works. So what's your advice, and what would you say to these boys so they can win gold medals next year?
Well, I mean, I guess first of all, they have to qualify. So they have to work, make sure that they work this year to qualify. Because that's the biggest thing. I mean, once they're there, I think their caliber of bowling, they're the best in Canada. So I think as long as the 5 make it again, I think they're well on their way for a good shot at another national.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone coming out tonight on a Friday night. It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thanks again. So let's wrap it up. Till next year.
Beer and titties, baby. Beer and titties. Here we go.
Well, thank you very much for having us. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.